In today's video, I'm going to show you how I installed this lighted makeup mirror hardwired into the wall where there wasn't one before. Coming up. This is the mirror that we chose. It's just a generic brand name that we found on Amazon. It's 9 inches. It has 1x magnification and 10x on the opposite side. And we really chose it for the size of the back plate, which is round, and it would fit over a 4-inch pancake box, which I'll be using to install it. Now you can see here it's meant to be installed just in your drywall, and it comes with a plug that is meant to plug into a receptacle. But of course I wanted to hardwire it, so the first thing I did was open the back and take out the grommet so that the cord was able to be cut, and then I could wire it myself. When I cut the cord, I stripped it so I could see there were 3 wires: green, blue, and brown. Although the light is made in China, these 3 wire colors translate into the EU standard, which is the blue is neutral, green would be the ground, and the brown is the line or hot wire. After I had a rough layout of where I wanted the mirror to be mounted, I held up the pancake box and drew a circle. Now the pancake box is a 1/2 inch thick, which translates to 1/2 inch drywall, and so it's meant to be the exact thickness of the drywall. Now to drill the hole, I'm using this fancy circle cutter here that has this cowl on it that catches all the dust. You don't really need to use anything this fancy, but I had it on hand because I've done a lot of recessed lighting. Now, because this outlet is in a bathroom, I know that it is a GFCI protected outlet, and I use this tester to actually pop the outlet or test the outlet, and it shuts off the power from the other room. But I actually do use a non-contact voltage tester just to make sure that the power is definitely off before I actually touch the wires. Once I had the outlet out of the way, I used a screwdriver to open the hole at the top of the box, and that's where I was going to pass the new wire through. Now, because this is a 20 amp circuit, I'm using 12-2 wire. 12 gauge wire is required for 20 amp circuits. It's definitely overkill for the size of the wires inside this lamp, but according to code, you're supposed to match the wire to the amperage of the circuit, so that's what I did. Now here I'm passing the wire down into the box. Luckily I could reach it with my hand so that it made it easier. Otherwise I could always use some kind of a fish tape. To mount the pancake box in this hole, I used a scrap piece of pine and some drywall screws to just mount it to the drywall, and that provided a good backing. Where I don't have a stud, I can just mount the box right to it. Now this is an older style pancake box. I don't even think they make them like this anymore, but it had a plug that was taken out, and it has a clamp built right into it to clamp the wire down. I think most of them these days come with plastic grommets to hold the wire in place. Either way, it's important that the wire gets held in place so that it doesn't fray over time and the metal doesn't cut it. If you don't like stripping wires, I really recommend this tool. I use it all the time. Every time I do an electrical project, it works great. Now I got really lucky here because the holes in the pancake box matched up perfectly to the holes in the back plate. So I was able to use long drywall screws and go directly from the the mounting plate of the light right through the box into the wood. Next step was the electrical connections. And what I did here is I took the lightweight wire coming from the light, and I started with the green one, which is the ground. And when you're attaching a stranded wire to a solid wire, you always want to twist the strands first and then insert that into the wire nut and then put the whole thing right over the solid wire. And I tighten it down really good, and I always give it a tug to make sure that it's really well attached before I put it back in. Now remember that the brown wire is the hot, so that's what I connect to the black, and the blue one is the neutral, so that's what got connected to the white. Next, I turn my attention to the outlet, and after stripping the wire, the new wire that was coming in from the light, I prepared everything by shortening the wires a little bit, and all the whites are getting connected together, all the blacks and all the grounds. I started with the ground wire and just put it under the same wire nut. But with the other wires, I created pigtails. I attached all the wires together with a short piece that would get attached to the outlet. And that's necessary because you could only have 2 wires connected to the outlet the way they were originally. So this is actually a third wire coming in here. So the best thing to do in that case is to create a pigtail like this. Now I like to twist the wires together with a big pair of pliers. And then I put on a big wire nut. Now remember, these are 12 gauge wires, so they are pretty stiff. And I always give it a good tug to make sure that it's attached really well. I don't want the wire nut coming off. It's always a good practice to tighten down any of the unused screws on one of the outlets so that they're not sticking out for somebody to get shocked on. Whenever I connect wires to the screws on the side of a receptacle, I will always use my needle nose pliers and make a little bit of a hook. And that just makes sure that the wire stays good and tight and gets as much underneath the screw as possible. Next, I turned the power back on by pushing the reset button on the GFCI outlet, and that turned on the power here. I put in my tester to make sure I had 2 greens, and then tested the light, and everything worked great. After the wall was painted and everything was cleaned up, it looked like a really professional installation. Nobody would ever know that we added this thing here. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up because it really helps out my channel, and I will see you in the next one. If you are a DIY video creator struggling to find an audience, join HandyDadTV and get instant access to an established audience that will provide more views and income than you're getting on your own. Just go to HandyDadTV/join for more information.